Have you ever checked your phone and felt guilty because you didn't hit 10,000 steps today? Most fitness trackers push that number like it's a biological rule. But here's the surprising truth. Humans didn't evolve with a step counter. So where did the 10,000 step rule come from? And how much movement do we really need? Let's break it down using evolutionary science. Every day, millions of people look down at their phones, check their fitness trackers, and feel a sudden wave of guilt when the number staring back at them reads 4,000, 6,000, maybe 7,500 steps. Somewhere in our minds, we've been told that if we don't reach 10,000 steps, we've somehow failed our health for the day. It feels like a biological rule, almost like a law of nature. But here's the startling truth that most people have never been told. The famous 10,000 step rule did not begin in a medical laboratory, and it did not emerge from decades of rigorous scientific research. Instead, it began as something far simpler and far more surprising. In the early 1960s, just after the excitement surrounding the Tokyo Olympics, a Japanese company released one of the first modern pedometers. They gave it a name that sounded both memorable and motivating, the Manpo-K, which literally means 10,000 step meter. The number was catchy, easy to remember, and visually appealing in Japanese characters. It looked like a walking person. From a marketing perspective, it was brilliant, but from a scientific perspective, it was never meant to be a precise prescription for human health. Yet over the decades, that single number quietly spread across the world. Fitness magazines repeated it, health campaigns adopted it, step counters in smartphones reinforced it, and slowly, a marketing slogan transformed into what many people now believe is a biological requirement for survival. But modern science tells a much more complex and fascinating story. Large population studies involving tens of thousands of adults have revealed something that challenges the myth directly. The biggest health improvements from walking don't suddenly appear at exactly 10,000 steps. In fact, the steepest drop in risk for early death, heart disease, and metabolic illness occurs when people move from very low activity, around 2,000 steps a day, to moderate movement levels closer to 6,000 or 7,000 steps. One landmark study published in a major medical journal tracked thousands of older adults and found that mortality rates dropped dramatically as daily steps increased toward about 7,000. After that point, the benefits continued, but the curve flattened. In other words, the body doesn't suddenly unlock a magical health reward at step number 10,000. Your heart doesn't know that number. Your muscles don't count it. Your cells respond simply to movement itself. And that raises a deeper question. If the number isn't rooted in biology, what does human biology actually expect from us? To answer that question, scientists turn not to gyms or fitness apps, but to evolution. For nearly 300,000 years, humans lived as hunter-gatherers, moving through landscapes in search of food, water, and safety. Researchers studying modern hunter-gatherer groups, such as the Hadza of East Africa, discovered something remarkable about their daily movement patterns. These communities often accumulate step counts in the range of 5,000 to 15,000 steps, but not because they are chasing a target on a screen. Their movement happens naturally throughout the day. They walk while gathering berries, they stroll while tracking animals, they carry children, tools, and food. And just as importantly, they rest whenever they can. Evolution never designed humans to perform one intense workout and then sit motionless for the rest of the day. Instead, our bodies evolved for a rhythm of gentle, frequent movement mixed with recovery. From an evolutionary perspective, the human body is both incredibly active and deeply energy efficient. Our ancestors could walk long distances when necessary, but they also conserved energy whenever possible because calories were precious. Food scarcity was a constant threat. Burning unnecessary energy could mean the difference between survival and starvation. This evolutionary history left a powerful imprint on our biology. Our muscles, joints, and metabolism function best when movement is regular but not extreme. Walking, standing, carrying, and shifting positions throughout the day send constant signals through the body systems. Blood circulation improves. Blood sugar levels stabilize. The brain receives fresh oxygen and nutrients. Even the immune system becomes more responsive. When movement disappears from daily life, those systems begin to struggle. Modern sedentary lifestyles have created a situation the human body never experienced in evolutionary history: long hours of uninterrupted sitting. Research now shows that sitting for extended periods slows down enzymes that help break down fat in the bloodstream. Blood sugar control becomes less efficient. Circulation in the legs decreases. Over time, these small physiological changes accumulate into larger health risks, including heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and obesity. And this is where walking, even in modest amounts, becomes incredibly powerful. Studies show that adding just 2,000 extra steps per day can significantly lower the risk of cardiovascular disease. Other research indicates that people who gradually increase their daily movement from extremely sedentary levels can reduce their risk of premature death by as much as 30 to 40%. These benefits appear long before anyone reaches the famous 10,000 step mark. The human body responds quickly to movement because, from an evolutionary perspective, movement is a signal of life. Muscles contracting during walking act almost like metabolic pumps, helping regulate blood sugar and improving insulin sensitivity. The heart becomes more efficient at circulating oxygen. The brain releases chemicals associated with mood, motivation, and mental clarity. Even a short walk can trigger measurable changes in stress hormones, lowering cortisol and calming the nervous system. In other words, the real story isn't about chasing a perfect number. It's about rediscovering the natural patterns of movement our species evolved with for hundreds of thousands of years. The tragedy of the 10,000 step myth isn't that walking is useless. Walking is one of the most powerful health tools humans have. The tragedy is that a single arbitrary number has convinced millions of people that anything less than perfection is failure. Someone who increases their activity from 3,000 steps to 6,000 steps has already transformed their health trajectory, even if their step counter still flashes a disappointing message. Science is now revealing a more hopeful and realistic truth. Every step matters. Every small increase in movement sends positive signals through the body's biology. The human body doesn't demand perfection. It responds to progress. And when you understand the real origins of the 10,000 step myth, something powerful happens. The pressure fades, the guilt disappears. What remains is something far more meaningful. The simple act of moving your body, the way humans have done for thousands of generations, long before anyone invented a step counter. For most of human history, there were no gyms, no treadmills, no fitness trackers vibrating on a wrist reminding you to move. Yet the human body that exists today, your heart, your muscles, your lungs, your bones, was shaped long before modern exercise culture ever existed. To understand how much movement we truly need, we have to travel deep into our evolutionary past, into a world where survival depended not on hitting a step goal, but on using energy wisely. Evolutionary biologist Daniel Lieberman has spent decades studying how the human body evolved to move, and his research reveals something surprising. Humans are not naturally designed to exercise the way modern society expects. Instead, our bodies evolved to be active when necessary and to rest whenever possible. That may sound like laziness, but it's actually one of the most intelligent survival strategies ever written into human biology. For early humans living hundreds of thousands of years ago, calories were scarce and unpredictable. Every step burned energy, and every wasted calorie could push a person closer to starvation. The brain quickly learned an important rule: never spend energy unless there's a clear benefit. This instinct still lives inside us today. When you feel the urge to sit down instead of taking the stairs, or when you hesitate before going for a run, that feeling isn't weakness. It's ancient biology protecting precious energy reserves. And yet, despite this instinct to conserve energy, early humans were far from inactive. Anthropologists studying hunter-gatherer communities have discovered that their daily lives involved constant low-intensity movement. They walked long distances searching for berries, roots, and edible plants. They tracked animals across open landscapes. They carried water, tools, and children through forests and savannas. But here's the critical detail that modern fitness culture often ignores. These movements happen naturally throughout the day, not in a single exhausting workout session. Hunter-gatherers didn't wake up and run 5 kilometers before breakfast just to stay healthy. They moved because movement was built into the fabric of daily life. Studies of the Hadza people of Tanzania, one of the last remaining hunter-gatherer societies, reveal a fascinating pattern. Men and women typically spend several hours each day walking slowly across their environment, gathering food, or visiting other camps, but they also spend large portions of the day resting, sitting, or socializing around fires. This balance between movement and rest reflects a powerful evolutionary rhythm that modern lifestyles have almost completely erased. The human body evolved to alternate between activity and recovery, not to remain sedentary for 10 straight hours followed by a single burst of exercise. When scientists measure the daily movement of these communities, they often find step counts that range widely, from around 6,000 steps on quiet days to more than 15,000 during long foraging trips. But these numbers fluctuate naturally. There is no fixed daily target. There is no moment when a hunter-gatherer stops walking because they have reached a perfect number. Instead, movement responds to the needs of survival. Evolution built our bodies to adapt to changing demands, not to chase artificial goals. This evolutionary perspective explains why modern sedentary lifestyles feel so unnatural to the body. For most of human history, sitting for long, uninterrupted periods simply didn't exist. Early humans might squat, kneel, or sit briefly, but they were constantly shifting positions, standing up, walking, or carrying something. Today, many people sit in chairs for 8, 10, or even 12 hours each day, something our ancestors never experienced. And the biological consequences are profound. Research shows that prolonged sitting can slow down metabolism, reduce the activity of enzymes responsible for breaking down fat in the bloodstream, and impair the body's ability to regulate blood sugar. Over time, this can contribute to obesity, cardiovascular disease, and type 2 diabetes. In fact, some scientists now describe excessive sitting as one of the most dangerous lifestyle habits of the modern era. Yet evolution also provides encouraging news. The human body responds incredibly quickly when movement returns to daily life. Even small amounts of regular activity, standing, walking, stretching, can reactivate metabolic processes that remain dormant during long periods of sitting. When muscles contract during walking, they act almost like tiny pumps that help circulate blood back to the heart. This improves oxygen delivery to tissues and supports healthy blood pressure. At the same time, muscle activity stimulates the uptake of glucose from the bloodstream, helping stabilize blood sugar levels and reducing strain on the pancreas. These processes occur quietly inside the body with every step you take. They do not require intense workouts or extreme physical effort. From an evolutionary perspective, the most natural form of movement for humans is simply walking at a comfortable pace. Walking uses large muscle groups without overwhelming the cardiovascular system. It strengthens bones by applying gentle mechanical stress that stimulates bone growth. It improves balance and coordination by activating neural pathways connecting the brain and muscles. And perhaps most importantly, it supports mental health. Neuroscientists have discovered that walking increases blood flow to the brain and stimulates the release of neurotransmitters associated with improved mood and cognitive clarity. Some studies even suggest that creative thinking improves dramatically during walking compared with sitting. These benefits help explain why walking has remained a central part of human life for hundreds of thousands of years. Our ancestors didn't think of it as exercise. They simply experienced it as living. And yet modern society has turned movement into something optional, something that must be scheduled between meetings, squeezed into busy evenings, or forced into structured workout routines. The result is a profound mismatch between our evolutionary biology and our daily habits. Evolution shaped the human body for frequent, gentle movement spread across the day. Modern environments encourage prolonged inactivity, punctuated by occasional intense workouts. When scientists compare these two patterns, they consistently find that frequent, low-intensity movement produces enormous health benefits. People who move regularly throughout the day often show better metabolic health, lower inflammation levels, and improved cardiovascular function, even if they never perform traditional exercise. This doesn't mean intense exercise is harmful. In fact, bursts of running, lifting, or climbing were also part of early human life, especially during hunting or escaping danger. But those bursts were occasional, not constant. The foundation of human movement was always walking, standing, carrying, and exploring. This is the movement pattern written into our DNA by millions of years of evolution. When we ignore that pattern and remain sedentary for most of our waking hours, the body begins to malfunction in subtle but measurable ways. But when we restore even a small portion of that natural rhythm, standing up more often, walking short distances, breaking up long periods of sitting, the body begins to return to the state it evolved for. Blood circulation improves, energy levels rise. Muscles regain strength and flexibility. The brain becomes sharper and more resilient to stress. In a world obsessed with extreme fitness challenges and perfect step counts, the evolutionary story offers a powerful reminder. The human body was never designed for perfection. It was designed for adaptability, resilience, and steady movement woven naturally into daily life. And when we begin to move the way our ancestors did, not obsessively, not competitively, but consistently, we reconnect with a biological system that has been refined over hundreds of thousands of years. That system doesn't demand 10,000 steps. It simply asks us to keep moving the way humans always have. Here are two powerful keynotes you can highlight from point 2. 1. The human body evolved for frequent, low-intensity movement. Research by Daniel Lieberman shows that early humans didn't perform structured workouts. Instead, they stayed healthy through constant low-intensity activities like walking, gathering, carrying, and standing throughout the day, mixed with periods of rest. 2. Modern sedentary life. Conflicts with our evolutionary biology. For most of human history, people rarely sat for long periods. Today, sitting for 8 to 12 hours daily slows metabolism, impairs blood sugar control, and increases the risk of heart disease, obesity, and type 2 diabetes, making regular daily movement essential for health.